1580, we believe that caring for the community means caring about the climate. You might have heard that we announced a pretty bold 12-month, $2 million campaign to do 4 things. Increase climate literacy, turn up the volume on communities of color in the climate conversation, connect everyday people with the resources they need to survive and thrive, and highlight frontline climate justice crusaders of color throughout this year. KBLA Talk 1580 will be bringing you insightful interviews on all of our shows to help raise your climate IQ. Each quarter this year, we will also be hosting free climate events in various communities throughout the city with food, fun, and forward-thinking conversations. Thanks to partners like LADWP, Metro, Caltrans, the Sierra Club, the California Community Foundation, the California Endowment, AQMD, MWD, and more. You'll also be hearing more about a couple of national town halls broadcasting live from Los Angeles, to which you will be invited. And we'll be rolling out a robust social media campaign on all our platforms, as well as an outdoor media campaign, all designed to educate, enlighten, and empower you in our fight for climate justice.
We want cleaner air.
Caring about the community means caring about the climate. At KBLA Talk 1580, we believe that we really can change the world if we care enough. 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 If we care enough.
Hey, so I'm calling your show, 'cause I need to know. Show me which way to go before I throw my man out the door.
Okay, hold on a second, Keisha. Just let me ask Ronald exactly what's going on, because it takes 2 to tango, and I need to hear his side of the story.
So she's driving me insane, got stress heavy on my brain. She keeps playing silly games, man, I'm about to bring the pain. We seem to fuss and fight every day and every night. Please give some advice so we can see the light, see the light.
That leaves us with fearful, avoidant, attachment style. What is this?
Okay, so this is actually the rarest of the 4 types, and this is a individual who, in the Mary Ainsworth study, was sort of kind of displaying a kind of disorganized way of coping when their parents were in the room versus not. So some of these children would actually react very harshly to their parent when they come back, and they may actually even be dismissive towards the parent or seemingly angry. Other times they seem not to care all that much when the parents came back, but when the parent was gone and the video was still rolling, they were very distressed without the parent. And yet when the parent came, they acted like they didn't care about the parent. And so it wasn't like one type of cohesive style. And as adults, fearful, avoidant people tend to have a more dialectic about their need for other people. So on the one hand, they really want the close relationships. On the other hand, they kind of don't want it and fear it and don't want to invest a lot in it. And so they kind of bridge this big spectrum, and they may act differently depending on how they're feeling at a given moment, which to other people feel erratic because they don't really know how to predict this person's behavior. And sometimes people who are fearful avoidant as adults, they tend to be a lot less stable for their friendships as well. Like they have maybe a small group of friends who, you know, they feel more comfortable giving to, but then with other people, they can be very dismissive. So in some ways, they kind of embody both of the preoccupied type and the dismissive avoidant type to some degree.
Right. I just wanted to jump in real quick and say thank you for watching our YouTube videos. But did you know that you're just scratching the surface? Whether you're a patient here for yourself, or you're here for somebody else, or perhaps you're a mental health professional, we can help you along your mental health journey at medcircle.com. There we have a variety of membership options available that will give you access to our video library that has more than 900 titles. You'll also be able to attend live weekly workshops and get your questions answered by the same doctors you're watching here on YouTube. Use the links in the description of this video, or just head on over to medcircle.com. All right, now let's go back to the discussion. Are there common co-occurring mental health disorders that you could find with someone who has this attachment style?
So people who are fearful avoidant, in general, they are the ones that confer the most psychological risks of all of the 4 types. And so they are a little bit more prone to anxiety, a little bit more prone to depression, and a little bit more prone to other types of relational issues. And one of the most common ones that is associated with the fearful avoidant type is borderline personality traits, and particularly the dimension about fear of abandonment. So actually, in many ways, fearful avoidant types are actually even more afraid of abandonment than the preoccupied types. But unlike the preoccupied types, they're not willing to give over their entire sense of self to be in a relationship. And so they have a fear of abandonment, but they're also kind of more resolute in that they still want to.
Oh, Lord. Oh. Listen, I am trying to help us all crack the relationship code. For many, many years, what did we do to ascertain the quality of a potential mate? For many years, we looked at their family. That's not a bad place to look. We looked at their education. And when we looked at their family, we really looked at, status and if the family were good people and, we looked at their education. We looked at their employment, right? And I always said relationships are more spiritual than they are social. And you've seen people get clowned because of their social standing. Oh, that girl's too good for you. Boy, that girl, she ain't gonna mess with somebody like you. And they weren't even talking about the brother's character. They weren't talking about his wound. They weren't talking about inner wounds or psychological. They're talking about his social standing. Come on. Not our kind of people. His people aren't our kind of people. And I said, humans are humans. It doesn't matter if you have all the money in the world, all the resources in the world, all the status in the world, all the power in the world. Doesn't make you a great person. You can still be a crappy person, right? I said, what if relationships, right, used the classism metric in order to evaluate the quality of a person? I don't care how good you look. I don't care about your aesthetic. If you come from broken people, you're broken. What if we put the discriminatory, right, angle of classism on the spirit side? Huh? Are you a spiritual aristocrat? Do you have a dusty attachment style? Listen, I believe most people got a dusty attachment style. I don't believe anybody comes out of a situation unscathed. But what if we added classism? right? Because you do know classism is, by definition, discrimination. Right? What if we got spiritually snobbish about it? Oh, what? You're dismissive avoidant? Oh, you gotta go. Your spirit is broken. You're damn near narcissistic. Oh, you're fearful avoidant. Oh, Jesus. You're chaos. I don't need chaos in my life. Right? Oh, you're anxious attached. Oh, you're such a you're clingy. Oof. I don't know if I could deal with all of that. I'm going to need space. What if we condescended in the way classists condescend when you're at a certain geoeconomic level? In order to ascertain, right, the quality of a relationship partner. Tonight's topic, the spiritual pauper, attachment style classism. A deeper look at attachment styles through the lens of classism. True or false, regardless of the social class, if you're not trying to heal your internal/childhood wounds and maladaptive attachment styles, you have no class. How would that feel? What if the Buddhist monk who's been meditating for 40 years and learned how to levitate looked at you like, oh, what a spiritual primate. What if he looked at you as a spiritual primate? Oh, you don't even know how to relate. Look at you. I see it all over you. Your aura is filled with your baggage from the past. What if that happened? Because isn't this how we treat each other in our daily lives? This person isn't good enough for me. I deserve better. Haven't healed a single wound, but feel like you're deserving of all the splendor of the world. Is secure attachment style the 1%er of attachment styles? And where does your attachment style land you? You definitely ain't a 1%er. Huh? I want to know. I'm interested to know which attachment styles should be considered spiritually impoverished. Which attachment style which attachment style have you been the most egregiously offended by, and why? Should securely attached people avoid dating any and all insecurely attached people? Why or why not? We don't even ask the question, what's your attachment style? We don't ask. Am I lying? When's the last time somebody at a date asked you, what's your attachment style? Do you know? Should securely attached folk avoid insecurely attached folk at all costs? Especially when you do the research into John Bowlby and Mary Ainsworth's attachment theory, what you find is a dismissive avoidant and a fearful avoidant can influence a secure attached person. A securely attached person can influence them and pull them into anxiousness. Yee. Are you really securely attached or just deceptively cosplaying as a so-called confident and stable individual? How would you know? See, relationships aren't about games. They're really about what you modeled, right? And it doesn't matter how good it is now. It doesn't matter how good it started. It doesn't matter if you took your time. It doesn't matter about any of that, because guess what? Once you enroll into class and you've been there a while, the curriculum will start coming to the surface. And I'm just going to say it outright. No one is perfect. Remember, we're whips, right? So no one should be acting like they're more deserving than somebody else. You got the nerve to put somebody in a one-way relationship, and you as broken as all get out. Right? Come on, 1-800-920-1580. This going to be one of those ones y'all got to call in. The spiritual popper. Attachment styles through the lens of classism. Going to be very heavy. The number to dial, 1-800-920-1580. Remember, non-judgmental space. Call in, share. What's your attachment style? Which attachment style do you feel that you're the most attracted to? Which attachment style has brought you the most discomfort? Call me, 1-800-920-1580.
Reasons. The reasons that we're here, the reasons that we fear, our feelings won't disappear. You're listening to the voice of reason with Zoe Williams on KBLA Talk 1580.
We must understand the politics of our community, and we must know what politics is supposed to produce.
This election year, KBLA Talk 1580 is the place for politics. Unapologetically progressive politics. And we've got two of the best and brightest to help you cut through all the noise. Weekdays at 1 p.m., it's a More Perfect Union with Dr. Nee Cordelai-Corte. And at 4 p.m., it's Areva Martin in real time. He's the university professor and distinguished member of the White House Correspondents Association. She's a best-selling author and Harvard-trained civil rights lawyer. And they are both here every day to help guide you through all the this year, because you know it's going to get deep. Get your politics on weekday afternoons at 1 p.m. and 4 p.m. with a More Perfect Union, hosted by Dr. Nee Cordelai-Corte and Areva Martin in real time, only on KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your flag.
My mom has taken up going to the park to practice yoga.
My dad's going to a club, but not a book club, a salsa club.
Finding new hobbies comes with age.
My mom has started getting lost and not knowing where she's going.
Becoming lost or disoriented doesn't. Confusion with time or place may be a sign of Alzheimer's. An early diagnosis can help improve the quality of life for your loved one. Learn the warning signs of Alzheimer's at 10signs.org. Brought to you by the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
eBay Motors is here for the ride. Go ahead, feel your engine. Admire that perfectly installed exhaust. Your vehicle's moving along this freeway like it was made from fresh installs and a whole lot of love. With eBay Motors, you get over 122 million parts to keep it running. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, they'll be the perfect fit every time. Plus, at these prices, well, we're burning rubber, not cash. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
Hey, I have a secret. I use Secret Whole Body Deodorant because more than just my armpits stink.
Oh, can I use it where my bra rubs under my...
Oh, yeah.
And what about down there? You know, my...
Totally. 4 out of 5 gynecologists would recommend it. So I tried it, and now I get 72 hours of freshness from my pits to my...
Ooh, I love that it's a spray.
Me too. And it comes in sticks and creams too. Go get your Secret Whole Body Deodorant.
If you're looking for the most epic place on Earth, let's start at the base of a massive waterfall. Then trek through the thick jungle. Then climb to the peak of a snowy mountaintop. Then once you get there, keep going. Because with intelligent 4x4 and 7 drive modes and a Nissan Pathfinder, the search is the real adventure.
Available feature. Intelligent 4x4 cannot prevent collisions or provide enhanced traction in all conditions. Always monitor traffic and weather conditions.
You know you want some more. It's the voice of reason with Zoe Williams on KBLA Talk 1580.
Dr. Judy, what is a dismissive avoidant attachment style?
So the dismissive avoidant attachment style in the Mary Ainsworth study, they showed very little distress when their primary caregiver left, kind of just kept playing by themselves. And then when the primary caregiver returned, they kind of acknowledged them, but they kind of also didn't run to them really. They just sort of kept doing their own thing. And oftentimes they might even be sort of indiscriminate in terms of their affection towards their primary caregiver versus maybe the stranger that was in the room during this experiment. And as adults, dismissive avoidant types tend to be highly independent. They're highly industrial, meaning that sometimes they're workaholics. And they don't love intense emotion. When somebody shows a lot of intense emotion, whether it's a partner or a friend, they tend to kind of go away from that a little bit. They kind of make an excuse to not get too involved. And generally, they are really comfortable being by themselves, and they tend to invest less in their emotional life and also in deeper attachments with people than the average person.
You just explained me. that was a biography of myself.
You're like, and that's Kyle.
So does that mean my parents likely had this same attachment?
Well, it's interesting because as the parents, what they communicate oftentimes when they raise a more dismissive avoidant child is that you probably shouldn't express your negative emotions. That maybe that's a sign of weakness in some way, that you really shouldn't do it because people might take advantage of you if you express too many of your negative emotions. So they weren't rewarding their children for expressing emotions, especially negative ones. That could be a possibility. When a parent is more authoritarian with more boundaries in between the parent versus a child, especially in terms of their emotional communication, that could lead to a more dismissive avoidant attachment. Or parents who are highly industrial themselves, parents who are workaholics, they instilled that type of a value in their child. So their child also then prioritizes things like work and productivity over relationships. So it's not all bad.
Yes.
Yeah.
I just wanted to jump in real quick and say,
ladies and gentlemen, are you a dismissive avoidant? Is that a dusty attachment style? What if we condescended, right, towards people's attachment styles? If it's maladaptive, it can't be good for anyone, right? Why do we put money over spiritual development? Because many of these attachment styles, the maladaptive ones, are attracted to each other for the purpose of reconciliation. What are we reconciling? We're reconciling what that dismissive parent did, right? Where the parent prevented the dismissive avoidant. They didn't even know they were creating a dismissive avoidant child. But when that parent said, you can't feel negative thoughts, or you shouldn't express your negative thoughts in such a way, and for all intents and purposes, shutting down a portion, right, of that child's emotional expression. Do you know, if you do not speak a single word before you're 5, you cannot develop language, right? The area that is responsible for language in the brain will shut down. It'll just shut down. It'll close up shop. Now, the way the brain is integrated, right, different areas of the brain will try to compensate. So you might get some mumbles, right? You might get some broken words, but you will not effectively be able to talk if you don't talk by 5 years old. Do you see how the brain is integrated? Well, your spirits are integrated as well. You're in a household with an ambitious, driven, emotionless provider. Everything's provided for. You got cable. You got a sidekick. You got backpacks. You got juice boxes, but you don't have emotional content from them. And the emotional content that you're trying to express, right, especially when their negative feelings get shut down, that creates a dismissive avoidant. I don't need intimacy. I don't need close feelings. I don't need that. Rooted in the foundational works of John Bowlby and Mary Ainsworth, attachment theory provides a lens through which we can understand the dynamics of bonding, intimacy, and security. However, When we overlay the complex fabric of societal classism onto this framework, a new dimension emerges, one that illuminates the intersection of attachment styles with issues of privilege, power, and inequality. Should the securely attached folk be seen as relationship gold, relationship aristocracy, royalty for Christ's sake, and everybody else with a maladaptive attachment styles, you guys belong in the relationship slums to work it out? Especially if your toxicity can change listen to me now, can change securely attached people into what you are. It's somewhat like psychological vampires. Yee. At the pinnacle of attachment styles stands secure attachment, often regarded as the 1%er of emotional bonds. Just as the elite 1% hold economic power and stability, individuals with secure attachment exude a sense of emotional security, trust, and resilience in their relationships. Their ability to navigate interpersonal connections with ease and trust mirrors the confidence of those at the top of the social hierarchy. But those with this privilege of secure attachment come at the cost of overlooking the struggles and challenges faced by those with different attachment styles. Slumming relationship, houseless relationships. That's who the maladaptives are if we're looking at it through the lens of classism. But that's not how humanity works. Humanity should have grace in it. Remember? We're all whips. Remember? We're all works in progress. Remember? Right? Do we remember that? To error is human. To forgive is divine. Right? Spirituality is at the core of intimate relationships. And we're supposed to use that spirituality to untangle the knots of what we modeled. When we come forward, the voice of reason is going to the phone lines.
He's on fire tonight. It's the voice of reason with Zoe Williams exclusively on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Amber Payton. Here's the latest on the Black Information Network. A judge is ruling there will be no delay in former President Trump's hush money criminal case. The case is related to alleged hush money payments to adult film star Stormy Daniels. The judge rejected Trump's request for an additional delay and said jury selection will start on April 15th. Trump's lawyers argued that Manhattan DA Alvin Bragg was late in turning over documents related to key witnesses and they needed more time, but the judge said Bragg, who was black, was not at fault. Trump pleaded not guilty last year for allegedly covering up $130,000 in hush money payments to Daniels before the 2016 election. Maryland Governor Wes Moore is assembling his team for the Maryland Council on Innovation and Impact. Moore, who is black, named Johnny Dorsey as chair, while a handful of others are honorary co-chairs. The council will identify ways to strengthen cross-sector partnerships in Maryland. Several other state leaders are included in the council. That's the latest. I'm Amber Payton on your home for 24/7 News, the Black Information Network.
Drought, war, and rising food prices have doubled the number of families facing malnutrition. You can help. $50 provides a food kit to feed a family for a month. Just text the word radio to 97646.
Climate is king.
At KBLA Talk 1580, we believe that caring for the community means caring about the climate. You might have heard that we announced a pretty bold 12-month, $2 million campaign to do 4 things. Increase climate literacy, Turn up the volume on communities of color in the climate conversation. Connect everyday people with the resources they need to survive and thrive, and highlight frontline climate justice crusaders of color throughout this year. KBLA Talk 1580 will be bringing you insightful interviews on all of our shows to help raise your climate IQ. Each quarter this year, we will also be hosting free climate events in various communities throughout the city with food, fun, and forward-thinking conversations. Thanks to partners like LADWP, Metro, Caltrans, the Sierra Club, the California Community Foundation, the California Endowment, AQMD, MWD, and more. You'll also be hearing more about a couple of national town halls broadcasting live from Los Angeles, to which you will be invited. And we'll be rolling out a robust social media campaign on all our platforms, as well as an outdoor media campaign, all designed to educate, enlighten, and empower you in our fight for climate justice.
We want cleaner air.
Caring about the community means caring about the climate. At KBLA Talk 1580, we believe that we really can change the world if we care enough.
Tips to help improve your credit score in 2024. Establishing credit is an important key to achieving financial health, but building a credit history from scratch can feel challenging since you need credit to build credit. First, what does it mean to build credit? All consumers have a score between 300 and 850. You want your score to be as high as possible as lenders look at your credit score to make loan and credit decisions. A good credit score shows you have a track record of borrowing money responsibly. Remember, it's never too late to build or rebuild your credit. This segment is sponsored by JP Morgan Chase & Company.
Substance use disorder and addiction is so isolating. And so, as a Black woman in recovery, hope must be loud. It grows louder when you ask for help and you're vulnerable. It is the thread that lets you know that no matter what happens, you will be okay.
When we learn the power of hope, recovery is possible. Find out how at startwithhope.com. Brought to you by the National Council for Mental Wellbeing, Shatterproof, and the Ad Council.
Helping to broaden your political and moral imagination with our 2024 climate justice campaign. We're KBLA Talk 1580. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA reminds you that when we fight, we win, and we don't black down. LA Community Action Network, or LA CAN, was formed in 1999 when 25 residents of downtown LA came together and acknowledged the problems that existed in their community and made a commitment to do something about those problems, to stand together, organize, and become a force in the community that demands change. Civil rights and preventing the criminalization of poverty are their core projects. In addition, they take on women's rights, the human right to housing, and healthy food access. LA CAN also has projects focused on economic development, civic participation, voter engagement, and community media. While downtown LA remains their home base, with a particular emphasis on the Skid Row community, in 2007, they expanded their housing and healthy food access work into South Central Los Angeles. LA CAN believes that power for low-income people and people of color is achieved through a large, active, and well-informed member base that utilizes a multitude of methods to advance their messages and goals. If you'd like to join the Los Angeles Community Action Network and organize people to fight back against oppression, please visit cangress.org. That's cangress.org. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
You're listening to the Voice of Reason with Zoe Williams. Only on KBLA Talk 1580.
Let's define somebody who would most likely have been raised with an anxious, preoccupied attachment style.
Okay, so in the original Mary Ainsworth study, these were babies who, even when their mother was in the room, they still seemed kind of clingy and distressed. And so once the mother left, it was like all hell broke loose. They were very, very stressed out. They would be probably crying the entire time that the mother was gone. And once the mother came back, they were not easily soothed. I mean, they, of course, were happy to see the mother, but despite the mother saying, I'm here, I'm with you, they're still crying, and they have a really hard time being able to return to independent activity. And as adults, these individuals will oftentimes have a great difficulty navigating relationships. They tend to be really needy. They tend to ask for a lot from their partners in terms of nurturance. In some ways, they don't have a stable self-esteem internally, so they have to keep getting validation from people, and it's like almost a few minutes later, they forgot that validation. They have to seek it again. So oftentimes these individuals will end up in relationships in which they're not very happy. They've given up all kinds of their own needs and wants to satisfy the other person's needs and wants, and they still feel like they're left out in the cold. And these individuals are also more at risk for abusive relationships because, again, their need for nurturance is so high that they're willing to succumb themselves to extremely distressing situations to not be alone. And these individuals, oftentimes as adults, you'll see them kind of hop from relationship to relationship. They're serial daters. They have a hard time being alone. And when they're alone, they become very distressed. And it goes for friendships as well. So they prefer to be with their friends instead of by themselves. And they will put themselves in uncomfortable situations just to not be alone. So even if all of their friends are doing something that they really don't want to do, they'll go along with the group as opposed to staying home alone.
I hope you're finding value in this session.
Why she talk about me like that? Oh, Lord. Yeah, I grew up with that attachment style. And there are vestiges of it that still exist. My whole life has been a work in progress trying to beat that attachment style up off me. This is real, y'all. This is real. And the anxious, preoccupied tend to attract the avoidant types. The people who are less likely to pour into them. Yikes. Typically, that's because they say the anxious, preoccupied attachment style, as well as the avoidant types, they see something in each other that they lack. So I'm using John Bowlby and Mary Ainsworth's framing here, right? To speak about the spiritual stuff I've been talking about for 2 years now. March 28th makes 2 years of the Voice of Reason. So this is me talking about, when you hear me say relationship is a mirror, where the biofeedback you get from your partner is your personal curriculum. Or when you hear Dr. Jashana Johnson say, oh, our nervous systems are relating. This is what that means. So when the spiritualist or the shaman says relationship is a mirror, we're mirroring each other. So you see, the avoidant types want to be like the preoccupieds, the anxious preoccupieds. You know why? Because the preoccupieds can really empathize. The preoccupieds are accountable. Hey, did I hurt you? My bad. How do I fix it? The anxious preoccupieds lean in because they say, if I lean in, what I'm doing to fix it, what I'm doing to heal it will be acknowledged as a good thing, and then I'll get reciprocity. Well, avoidants want to be able to do something and be loved for it. Like, yes, we love that. But remember, when they were children, they got shut down emotionally. And so they learned to rely on self, to be self. I don't need nobody. I don't need relationships. I don't need nothing. I like being alone. I can handle this myself. They pull back when intimacy falls in. But the anxious preoccupied also wants to be able to pull back too. Right? The anxious preoccupied hates it when the hard work of let's roll up our sleeves and do it together gets shut down in much the same way as the avoidant was shut down. Now, when you go to fearful avoidant, the fearful avoidant has both anxious preoccupied and avoidant styles. And there is a pendulum that swings back and forth on which one you're going to get based on their anxiety levels. Do you see? This is why they call the fearful avoidant style, sometimes they call it disorganized, because you don't know what you're going to get. You don't know what it is, a box of chocolates. You don't know. And these maladaptive styles attract each other. That doesn't exclude the secure attachment styles. The secure attachment styles are attracted to fearful avoidance, dismissive avoidance. But if the dismissive avoidant or the fearful avoidant, or the anxious preoccupied gets too anxious, gets too fearful, gets too dismissive, gets too avoidant, that could affect the securely attached person and cause them to become anxious preoccupied. Did you know that? Whew, heavy stuff. We got callers on the line. I want to hear some perspectives. Are you a relationship snob? Are you securely attached? What is your attachment style? The voice of reason is live. Get in here. Sean, Oakland, California.
Hey, brother. Well, I don't know if I'm a snob or anything, but, I've been known to push back on all kinds of stuff. But my thing is, attachment styles, right? So I'm wrapping my head around it. My thing is, you control the damn attachment style. And yes, it does have to do with the way your primary caregivers or your parents brought you up. There's no doubt about that. But I'm saying, once you've gone through all that, sometimes, kids say, nah, I ain't buying into that. And I'm doing my own thing. I'm going to make it my own thing. And I'm going to roll through this attachment style stuff, even though they're not thinking of it in those terms. And I'm going to make everything good. So my advice is, by the way, when you have someone that you're totally physically attracted to, young age, and all that kind of stuff, and, that's great. That's just one thing. You guys make that magic, boom. But when you make that magic in your heads together, that's the real magic.
I love it. Thank you, Sean. Guess what you just did, my friend?
Love you, brother. I brought Oakland in the building.
Town business is in the building when we come forward. Listen, let me just say this. I love all of the callers. They're like characters on a TV show. I just love when I hear from the callers. Call in and let me know your thoughts on tonight's topic. When we come forward, we're going to Houston, Texas. You already know what it is.
Is it good to you? More Voice of Reason with Zoe Williams when we come forward. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 reminding you that we keep us safe. Pro Football Hall of Famer and urban peace pioneer Jim Brown believed in just that. So he founded the Amera I Can Foundation for Social Change in 1988, focusing on at-risk and high-risk youth in underserved schools and juvenile detention facilities, as well as adult incarceration and reentry initiatives. The core of the Amera I Can program is its 15-chapter life skills curriculum. Mastery of these skills allows individuals to meet their academic potential, conform their behavior to acceptable societal societal standards and improve the quality of their lives by equipping them with what they need to confidently and successfully contribute to society. Today, the foundation is led by its president, Monique Brown, who has been actively involved in the organization for more than 25 years. The Amera I Can Foundation continues its work in memory of its founder, actor, philanthropist, and NFL legend Jim Brown. To get involved or make a donation, please visit AmeriICanCommunity.partners. That's AmeriICanCommunity.partners. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Sometimes we lose, sometimes we win. Sometimes we try to fit it all in. Sometimes we don't know what's in store. Sometimes we find what we're looking for. Sometimes we're rolling easy and free. Sometimes 1 and 1 makes 3. So much to love along this ride. That's why Nationwide is on your side.
Nationwide Mutual Insurance Company and Affiliates, Columbus, Ohio.
If you love to travel, Capital One has a rewards credit card that's perfect for you. With Venture X, earn unlimited double miles on everything you buy and turn everyday purchases into extraordinary trips. Plus, receive premium travel benefits like access to over 1,300 airport lounges where you just check in and chill out. Open up a world of possibilities with Capital One. What's in your wallet?
Terms apply. Lounge access is subject to change. See CapitalOne.com for details.
Sorry, but we actually have a wait list for our Monstera.
Shaw's greenhouse is really bringing in the green.
We can't keep snake plants in stock.
She needs a construction manager to build on her roots and grow.
We could add a whole section for ferns. And here we'd have dahlias, dahlias, and more dahlias.
Indeed can help her hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. You can schedule and conduct virtual interviews all from your employer dashboard. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
You know you want some more. It's the voice of reason with Zoe Williams on KBLA Talk 1580.
Dr. Judy, let's define secure attachment.
Okay, so a securely attached child in the original Mary Ainsworth study is a child who, when they separate from the parent, they do show some distress. They're a little bit stressed out, but they're still able to kind of soothe themselves to some degree. And then once the parent comes back, they're so excited to see the parent, they give the parent a big hug. And then after that reunification, they go back to playing on their own and seem relatively happy. And as adults, they tend to be more comfortable in relationships overall. They're able to communicate their needs. They're able to be independent, but at the same time also get close to people without much problems. And just in general, people say that they're probably the best type of person to have any kind of relationship with.
When the child is having their mother leave and reuniting, what age range is that?
In the Mary Ainsworth study, it was usually between 7 to 8 months to about 2 years. And that's because in attachment theory, we believe that at about 7 months, the infant starts to become very discriminately attached to one or two primary caregivers in their life. And so they were really testing the strength of that specific bond, as opposed to when a baby is younger than that, it's a little bit more indiscriminate, meaning you might see a lot of people and, you know, you kind of hang out with everybody. It's not a big deal. You don't have as much of that close-knit bond with a couple of people in your life until a little later.
I just wanted to jump in real quick.
They breaking it down. We all have an attachment style. All of us. But what kind? Is it of the secure variety or the insecure variety? And how does insecure attachment of the various styles how does it affect our intimate relationships? And if we looked at it through the lens of classism, if you have a quote unquote broken attachment style, because we like to call people broke, right? If you got a quote unquote broken attachment style, what makes you deserving of anything? Right? What if you use to pull yourself up by the bootstrap motif? Right? You're dismissive, avoidant. Get out of here. You're a commoner. You're a spiritual pauper. Get out of here. All you're going to do is hurt people with your style of relating. What if we were like that? What if we were discriminatory like that when it came to attachment styles? The way we are when it comes to class, right? Of course, it would be egregious. Of course, it would be disrespectful. Of course, it would be, you can even say, it would be inhumane. Of course, that's inhumane. But we do it when it comes to money. Look at P. Diddy. You know how many people ain't said nothing about P. Diddy? He's a billionaire. Socially, he's together. You remember how you say, man, I can't wait till I retire, because then it's smooth sailing. This man been smooth sailing with money and status and power and position for over 25, 30 years now. But does that make him a good person? Does that make him healed? I don't know anything. Everything is alleged. I don't know nothing. But the stories that are coming out, the raids, right? Raids on his homes, LA, New York, Miami. Do you understand? Tells you. The girl Cassie done came out, said some really disparaging things, and a lot of others. So would he be spiritually impoverished if we were looking at attachment? What is his attachment style? Woo. Do you understand what I'm saying? This is heavy stuff. We like to judge people based on what they have as opposed to who they are. You can have that booty. You can have that hourglass shape. You can have that cocoa brown skin. But if that spirit is bankrupt, I don't care who you fooling. If we're looking at it through the lens of classism, right, you're not ideal for a relationship. The great Dr. Mark Goulston put it this way. He said, the person that is incapable of understanding the deep power behind the consciousness of forgiving is not worthy of relating. See, we forgive punitively. We don't understand that forgiveness is for ourselves. We think forgiveness is in Monopoly terms, an I control you now card because you've offended me, because you hurt me. And if I can't control you, if I can't extract certainties and guarantees out of you, then I can't deal with you no more. Forgiveness doesn't work that way. Forgiveness understands humanity. Forgiveness exists because of humanity. Now, forgiveness doesn't mean stay with somebody who hurt you over and over and over again. It doesn't mean that. But forgiveness is a self-healing consciousness tool. That's what it is. Not a I can control you because you hurt me card. Right? And even change behavior. Your people say forgiveness without change behavior is not forgiveness. That's a subtle way of saying you need to change in order for me to interact with you. People change at their own rate. People heal at their own rate. People understand at their own rate. You should never use these highly powerful spiritual concepts to extrapolate control from another. That's just not how it works. Yeesh. All you got to do is look at, that's why I always ask people early on, what are your top 3 relationship killers? What are your top 3 character flaws? I'm asking questions like this. You know why? Because that's letting me know this is what you're coming with. What's your attachment style? Who raised you? Was your mama a narcissist or was she an SLDD? Was she self-love deficient? Was she codependent? Was it vice versa? Did you have both parents? Was one, you ask these questions. We got people so scared of losing a relationship, they don't know how to be transparent when they're learning it, when they're forming the relationship. I don't care how pretty you are, how handsome you are. I don't care. If you're not doing self-work, if you're not trying to heal, oh, let me go even deeper. You know, people with maladaptive styles, do you know how they heal their adaptive style, their maladaptive styles? Do you know? They heal them in relationships. Do you know how many people use the opposite modality? Man, I'm done with relationships. After this didn't work, I ain't gonna never do it again. How are you supposed to see yourself in relationship? How are you supposed to heal while in relationships? The fearful avoidant can only change their style. The anxious preoccupied can only change their style. The dismissive avoidant can only change their style in relationships. But relationships are a source of consternation. It's a struggle. I don't want to be in a relationship. You know what? I can do bad all by my damn self. I'm trying to live a soft life. Wait a minute. Hold tight. If you ain't bringing me peace, do you see how many spiritual children, spiritual paupers are out here? Relationships are designed to strip your tail naked. You don't want to be butt naked, but that's what it's designed to do. That's how you heal. That's how you see. When we come forward, I promise, back to the phone lines.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Amber Payton. Here's the latest on the Black Information Network. A judge is ruling there will be no delay in former President